everyone, so this is a first time for me. I got tagged in a book tag questionnaire challenge by a buddy of mine here on YouTube called Anthropomorphic Fiend. He does like horror related stuff. You should check him out, he's a good guy. This was a tag originally made by a booktuber that I wasn't familiar with, LittleGhostCreations. Check her out too. After all, this is her challenge, after all. There are 13 questions here, all really book related, mostly horror themed, because that's the theme going forward is Summerween. So I got my Jason shirt on, my Hawaiian shirt over on top of that, and my hat, which I am taking off now because I have my AC off and it's getting really hot in here. So let's start this off. Question 1. What spooky reads are you most excited about in your to be read list and pile right now? I got 2 answers for you. 5 Total Strangers by Natalie Richards. I was originally supposed to read this on a road trip last year. Coincidentally, it is about a girl who's going on a road trip to see her family for the holidays, and like I said, I was going to read this on a road trip to see my family in the holidays, only instead of being in a car with strangers, I was going to be with friends, but situations happened and that didn't go out the way I planned it, so I'm looking forward to reading this again during the winter. The other one I'm looking forward to is I do some work over at my buddies over at the Movie Dumpster podcast. They also have a YouTube channel for their podcast. Again, you should check them out. I talk about the adaptations of some of the movies that they talk about. Mostly obscure horror stuff. Joe, who's one of the co-hosts, my good buddy, sent me a copy of Thor by Wayne Smith. It became the movie The Pack, and what it's about is the perspective of a dog in a family who notices that someone who's visiting the family, Uncle Ted, he's actually a werewolf. So a book about a good boy fighting off against a not so good boy. That's something I'm really looking forward to. Question 2, what is your favorite revenge novel? Now this one's hard for me because I'm not really a big fan of revenge as like the main hook of the book. I'm not really big on that. So I had to like kind of work around with this one, and I don't consider this cheating because the question was novel, and I think graphic novels do fit in with that. Neil Gaiman's The Sandman Volume 1, Preludes and Nocturnes, has an overarching theme of the concept of revenge because you have the personification of dreams being in prison for about 100 years. And in doing so, he gets revenge on his captors, he gets all of his stuff back, and at the end, he doesn't really have like anything left. Like he doesn't know what else to do. And I think that's a good theme around revenge, in that like, okay, you got your vengeance, now what? Question 3, what is a horror or thriller or crime book that you wish you could experience for the first time? I had to go with Stephen King's Salem's Lot. This is the book that got me into King. I've read other stuff before by him, but never really like hooked me the way Salem's Lot did. I think it really does have most of King's strengths in as a writer, about like this overarching thing of the deep underbelly of suburbia. There's a good part of this book where like the sun is setting and that's all that's happening, but the way that it's happening really like it made me have to put the book down, look over my feet at the door because I left it open and it's pitch black in the middle of the night. Question 4, sucks to suck. You were given a handful of your least favorite candy, the one not even your siblings or friends will trade for. What candy is it, and what spooky book did you want to love that disappointed you? I can't really think much of this because like I'm an adult, I buy my own candy now, and also when you have siblings, they don't trade with you of a candy that they know that you hate because they just kind of want you to suffer. I guess hot tamales would be it. Like I'm not a big fan of cinnamon candy, but as for the actual question of like what books disappointed you that you wanted to really like, anything by Poppy Z. Bright. I really wanted to enjoy his work because I've heard so much good stuff about it. Like he's 90s splatterpunk goth, which that's totally up my alley. I finished Lost Souls. I was really getting hyped up on this because reading it in the beginning, like you have a main character whose name is literally nothing. It's that kind of like gothy aesthetic that I was really going to enjoy. I think it's going to be like kind of fun. It definitely takes a turn when there's just like a constant barrage of very violent, very sexual violent stuff that was happening in the book. It just makes you numb, right? And the characters don't really care about what's happening to them, which makes you not really care. In the end, it just kind of felt like darkness for darkness' sake. Question 5, time to put on your costume. If you could exist in one spooky novel, which one would it be, and who would your best friend be? Like, I don't want to get rid of my best friends that I have in real life. Like, they're my best friends. I love them. Like, I don't really, like, thinking about this, like, I don't really want to, like, think of a story where, like, I'm best friends with the characters. Max Brooks's De-Evolution is an attempt to make a horror novel that tries to really kind of make the argument that, like, Bigfoot is real. As a fictional standpoint, it's a first-hand account of a situation where, like, big feet, like the whole family of Bigfoots, whatever the plural is for that, attacks this community that is just completely overwhelmed and doesn't know what to do. So, like, in that world, because that's set in, I think, in Washington State, I'm over here in Jersey, so, like, the only difference would be, like, me and my buddies, you know, we would go camping, but now we just know that, like, Bigfoot is real, so, like, we just have to, like, I don't know, carry, like, bear mace around in case that happens when we go camping. So yeah, that would be my pick. Question 6, what is your favorite haunted house book / and or TV show? Just like the Revenge book, I'm actually not that big on haunted houses. I don't really believe in ghosts, but I'm pretty sure my girlfriend's apartment is haunted. Pretty sure. But that being said, I think Urban Gothic by Brian Keene isn't really a haunted house story, because it turns out that the house that is considered haunted in that story is actually like mutant cannibals. But it does have like kind of especially in the beginning, has like a very like spooky haunted house aesthetic going on for it. So there's that. But I think like an actual like haunted house story would actually be Clive Barker's Hellbound Heart, which is the precursor, like it's the blueprint for Hellraiser. About like this house actually does in fact have a spirit residing in it, and it's trying to get out. So I guess that would be my haunted house pick. So number 7 is a food question, and I can only pick one out of these sets. For instance, chocolate or sour candy. I only ever like chocolate with peanut butter. I don't actually eat it like by itself, so I would have to go with chocolate. Coffee or tea. That's no contest, man. That is straight up coffee. Like, it's pretty much like coffee is in my bloodstream at this point. Like, I've already had like maybe 3 cups today. The last one is apple or pumpkin pie. Now, I don't like this question because it's hitting me with a desserts question, and I am a sucker for desserts. Big sweet tooth. But I would have to go with pumpkin pie. I make that stuff every fall. I pick my own pumpkin. I make the pie and everything. I set it all up. Looking forward to that, actually. But I love apple pie too. I have to go with pumpkin. Question 8. Show us your favorite book with a witch or a woman who gets screwed over by society and the patriarchy. Okay, so it has to be both. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Silly title, but it should also be called Gaslighting the Novel, because you have a group of suburban housewives having a book club, and a vampire comes into just the neighborhood, not really necessarily the book club, and just really like digs himself into this group. And the husbands, they don't believe their wives, they believe this guy, and just throughout the whole novel you get more and more sad and frustrated and angry that these ladies are dealing with a situation where like they question themselves because no one else believes them, and it is a situation that's like, oh, a vampire's in the neighborhood. It's really, really good. Again, the title is very silly, but it doesn't take away from like an actual like it gets pretty serious. Question 9, which book on your shelves or audiobook library has the scariest book cover? I don't really know about scary book cover. I mean, I got a couple here. Holly Black's Doll Bones, I guess, would be creepy if like you find dolls scary. I mean, I just thought it looked really, really nice. And speaking of that, like I got a couple like nice covers here. Emily Brunt's Wuthering Heights. It has a very very Tim Burton aesthetic going for it. I thought it looked really, really nice. I got it cheap at the library, and yeah. Another one that I guess you consider it scary, but more of just like I think it looks really cool, is Ace Paperbacks made some unauthorized versions of Lord of the Rings. That was part of a big lawsuit in the 1970s. And this cover for Return of the King, like even Tolkien, when he was very displeased with Ballantine books' original paperback editions, he said at least the Ace books got like the theme going on, and in here you see either the Witch King or Sauron himself, because it has like the single eye watching over a tower, while you see like a small ragtag group of people going up against this huge evil that is just completely overpowering them. So again, I don't really consider it scary, but more along the lines of like it follows the theme of the story, and I think it looks really interesting in that very pulpy kind of way. But the actual cover, that when I first saw it, it made me like kind of like uncomfortable. I was dating this woman at a time, and it was Christmas, and it was my first Christmas with them. And a member of the family who didn't know who I was at the time, I eventually met him, and he was actually like one of the sweetest men I ever knew, and unfortunately he's no longer with us. But he gave me this book, and the only thing he knew about me was that I liked to read. That's the only thing he knew about me. They didn't say anything else, what kind of books I like to read or anything. So imagine I rip open like the gift wrap, right? And I just get Fatherland by Robert Harris, a big old swastika just staring at me. I have no idea what the book was about. I didn't expect this. It turned out it was a good book. It's a murder mystery set in an alternative history setting where World War II was actually won by the Axis. Major points for the book also for including actual real historical documents. This is the only cover that ever actually made me like go, oh, this feelings, I don't like this. Question 10, it is Summerween and it is hot outside. What book do you recommend that gives off those summer vibes? Think lakes, cabins, beaches, etc. And whatever reminds you of summer. Whatever reminds me of summer is times growing up with my friends, going out and playing outside. I actually was not a big bookworm when I was a kid. So when I read something that involves like friends playing outside or enjoying themselves or just kids being kids, like that very much like gives me that summer vibes more than anything. So a couple, we have Stephen King's It, which, yeah, it has a lot of baggage in it. I don't think it's actually his best book, but I do think one of his best moments in the book is during the summer months with the kids, and they're just being kids, right? They're doing things that I used to do with my friends, making dams, running around in the woods, just kind of playing, finding things to do because the school's over, stopping a supernatural force that was eating all of us. You guys didn't do that when you were kids? No? No? A lot of moments in there where like a lot of these outcasts, these loners are coming together and just hanging out and just having fun being kids, and I really, really enjoyed that about the book. It's one of its like strongest points. Another one is a bit of a cheat, Lois Duncan's Summer of Fear. It does remind you of summer because summer is in the title. It's about a girl who has a cousin visiting for the summer who like she doesn't recognize her and knows that things are a little off. Lois Duncan, that book actually was one of the first ones that actually gave me nightmares when I read it as a kid. No idea why, actually. I kind of blocked it all out. And the last one is, again, Grady Hendrix, My Best Friend's Exorcism, which, even though it takes place at some points during the school year, a lot of it also takes place during the summer. And there's a lot of, again, with that commodity of just kids being kids. They're having fun, they're going to beach houses, they're swimming in a lake, and all that stuff. Like, that reminds me of the summer more than anything. Question 11, you and your friends are exploring a well-known haunted house, a well-known one, and you get separated, and suddenly you hear screams coming from somewhere upstairs. You run into the next room and find two of your friends. Which two fictional characters are they? And who do you want in this situation with you? Again, this is a thing where it's like, when I first read this, I was thinking of like my friends in real life. I was like, oh no, are they like tied up or something? And who do I want to help me in the situation? That's how I came at this question. Definitely would be like John Constantine, because that dude literally lives in a haunted house. Like, he would know exactly what to do. And the other one is someone who knows what to do in a house that's filled with situations that isn't actually haunted, but is traps and zombies and everything. So she'll know what to do. Jill Valentine, which, if you ever think like, hey, wait, that's a video game character, hold on. There exists Resident Evil novelizations, therefore it checks out. Question 12, trick or treat. Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft, Mary Shelley, and Shirley Jackson are at your front door, and who do you give the best and biggest candy bar to out of this group? So I'm taking this super literally and just thinking like a bunch of these people just kind of came up and came trick-or-treating, and like I'm not gonna give them like the biggest candy bar. Like I don't play favorites. Let them all, like, they're all gonna get candy. But like in terms of like a rank system, so Stephen King will get like a fun size Snickers, and I would let him know that like less is more sometimes, and like he should really like hire a different editor to cut out some things. Mary Shelley, I would let her know that she can do better than Percy Shelley, and I would give her like a chocolate rose. Shirley Jackson would get an IOU because unfortunately I don't think I've actually read anything from her yet. Haunting of Hill House is on my to be read pile. I would probably give her like $20 so she can get whatever candy she wants, because again, I don't have a joke for this because I never read anything from her yet. H.P. Lovecraft, I would probably take away his thesaurus from him, and he would get rock candy because it's hard and bland, and he might like that because he doesn't like a lot of diversity in his candy. Last question 13. What is your favorite spooky book to movie adaptation where both of them are good? Now this is my bread and butter because this whole channel is dedicated to books and adaptations. And I just wanted to pick one because I could have picked a whole bunch from videos that I've done in the past, but I decided to pick one that I haven't done before. Let the Right One In by Jan-Sven Lindqvist is a Swedish author who wrote this vampire story way back in like 2007. It was turned into a movie in Sweden, and then if you notice the title here says Let Me In. That's because it's a first edition copy, and when the movie got famous, the book was retranslated as a different title, Let the Right One In, to fit in better with the original Swedish title. But then a remake came out called Let Me In. That was an American remake, and then that got repurposed and the book got republished with the original American title of Let Me In. That is all the questions. This was actually a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I don't really have anyone I could really tag this to. I don't know a lot of booktubers. I'm not really involved with that community. But this was a lot of fun, and hopefully I'll get tagged something else for this. But in the meantime, everyone, enjoy the rest of your summer. Wash your hands, stay healthy, take care.